Hello, Miss Brown here, and today we'll begin our study of cell division. And first, let's have a lesson about chromosomes. And you have your organizer to fill in as we go, and you can stop it, as I always say, to fill in what you need to fill in. So, why do we have this thing called cell division? So we have three reasons: growth and development, repair, and reproduction, which can be sexual or asexual. Now, what are the two types of cell division? We have two types. There's mitosis and meiosis. The proper way to pronounce this is meiosis, but I'll be saying meiosis to help you make the difference, so you'll know the difference, because it's spelled with an E, and that's just a little easier for freshmen. So what is the purpose of this mitosis number 3? 3 purposes. Mitosis is for growth, repair, and asexual reproduction, which means a division, like your skin cells have asexual reproduction when they divide to heal a sore or a burn or a cut on your skin. Okay, and the purpose of meiosis is only for sexual reproduction. It makes the sperm and the egg. Now, what important thing is passed on during cell division? The DNA. It's an important code that tells a cell its job and what it should do. And what has to happen to this DNA before it divides? It must copy or double itself. And I want you to write down that's called DNA replication. We call that replication. What are the fragments of DNA found in a cell? That's chromatin. And the strands of DNA that are found in a cell are the chromosomes. Now, what do we call these replicated chromosomes? They're called chromatids, and they're joined together at the centromere. And we're going to be looking at several pictures of those in class. So what are the two components of a chromosome? Oh, first let's look at this. So this pink thing, each of these is a chromatid. We call those sister chromatids. And this center part where it's stuck together is called the centromere. All right, now, number 10, the two components of a chromosome, they're 40% DNA and 60% protein. So this DNA is really curly and twisty, and it's twisted around this protein core. So, when a cell organizes its DNA into these chromosomes, the fragments come together to make chromosomes. We're about to have something known as cell division. Now, prokaryotic cells, remember, they're much simpler. And they divide by something we call binary fission, which just means the cell copies itself. It only has one strand of DNA, and it just takes a few minutes. It just splits in half. Doesn't take long at all. But now eukaryotic is a little bit different. It's more complicated. 13, where are chromosomes located in these eukaryotic cells? Inside the nucleus. And all that has to be divided. It can take minutes to hours for this process to complete. So how are the chromosomes arranged in eukaryotic cells? They're arranged in pairs, 14. And 15, chromosomes that are similar in size, shape, and genetic content are called homologous chromosome pairs. And who discovered these chromosomes? Fleming. Now 17, do all cells have the same number of chromosomes? Well, each species has a certain number. But do all cells have the same number? In the same species, yes. Or in the same organism, yes. For 17. 18, what's the chromosome number for humans? 46. And should all human cells have the same number? Yes. Except for our sex cells, and we'll get to that a little later. Now, in the space at the bottom under 18 on your organizer, I want you to stop the video, pick 5 of these, and go over to a new window or a new tab and find out how many chromosomes are in each one. Okay, so were you surprised at how different some of them were? Cotton has 52. That's more than us. Paramecium has 150 pair. That's a lot more than us. Kangaroo only has 12. So you can't always go by how big an organism is, or if it's plant or animal or bacteria or unicellular, for how many chromosomes it has. Now on to the back page, 19. What does the term diploid mean? It means 2 of each chromosome number. And 20, what is the symbol for diploid? 2N. So in humans, the 2N number, or the diploid number, is 46. Okay, the symbol for haploid is N, like in math. It's just 1 N. We don't put a number in front of it. It's just like algebra. You just put N, and that's 23. And we'll talk about some of those in class a little later. All right, a chromosome karyotype. Let's go ahead and write this down. We're going to actually do one of these in class, I hope. What is the karyotype of chromosomes? It's a map of chromosomes showing them arranged in pairs. Now, there's a little mistake on number 24. Humans have 22 pairs of regular chromosomes. They're autosomes. And then 25, we have 1 pair of sex chromosomes. Those chromosomes determine our gender at birth. So let's talk about that. If you get an X from each parent, you will be female. And if you get a Y from one of your parents, which would be your father, and an X from your mother, because all she has to give you is an X because she's female, you'll be a male. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in person. And of course, who determines the sex of the child? The father. But his chromosomes will determine that. So these genes we talk about, what are genetic units found on chromosomes? They're genes. And who discovered those? Johansen. And that's what gives you your traits, not just how tall you are or what color eyes you have, but also other interesting things like what things you're good at. If you're good at arts or good at sports, your intelligence quotient has a genetic component to it. How you digest food. There's one that has to do with sleep and the amount of sleep you need to function at optimum levels. There's several things that are controlled in your body by your genes besides your hair color and your eye color. Now, how can there be a chromosome problem? There's 2 general ways. Either a change in the number or a change in the structure. So that's 30. And one we talk about often, we'll talk about some more later, but one that is often brought up during this study has to do with Down syndrome. And what causes that? There's an extra number 21. So instead of 46 chromosomes, a Down syndrome individual will have 47 chromosomes. So there's 3 of 21. And this is a mistake that happens in meiosis, and we'll get into that a little more when we get into meiosis. That'll be our next section we study. Now, 32, list 4 examples of mutations, okay? You have deletion, that means one's left out. Duplication, that means one's in there twice. Inversion, you know from math, that means to reverse them. And translocation, it means it's moved to a totally different place on the chromosome. Okay, and that's the end of our chromosome organizer.